your name and the film that you did, and I'll start with you, and then we'll go this way. And then if you can tell me what was the biggest obstacle you had filming this, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, definitely shooting subway.
Yeah. Yeah.
was pretty hard. I think I did this at least, I don't know, 45, 50 times. It was really, really overwhelming, like trying to get exactly the background, hide the camera, was really tough. But I mean, I'm basic here, I'm originally from Brazil.
Okay.
So I was like pretending to do like my love story in New York City, a place that I choose to be now. So I was like so grateful to join Subway. It's so New York.
Yeah.
And it's my love story. I'm so great because I usually do some deep narrative. Last year I was here with Body, so I was really excited to do something that people could have fun and soft and unexpected, and that's it.
Yeah,
Thank you
beautiful.
for being accept my film. Thank you for all coming.
Yeah, and
I'm so
Bubblegum was your film, and
Yes.
your name?
Maria Maya.
Maria.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Just wanted
Yeah.
to know who you are.
I'm Francisco, and my film was Help Me Pass as a Female. No, Help Me Pass as a Woman. That was the name of my film. Do you remember that film? Played about a few minutes ago. Okay. That was not hard at all for me to do because it was at a comedy club. It was part of a routine, a comedy skit that I was planning to do. And Valentina, who was there and co-wrote the script with me, we didn't know that we were going to do it that night. And stars aligned okay, and so we got to do it on the stage, and the audience was very receptive to it. I think you heard the laughs, and we were very appreciative of it. We did not do any editing. I didn't even put any titling up. I wanted to have it as an experience that you would see if you just walked into a comedy club and saw part of the act, and so that was it. And I'm a trans woman, and so I used some of my experience from my early days in trying to transition to female, and the coaching that people were giving me, like how to walk and how to talk and things like that. So I hope it came across.
Hi, we made Figurine. My name is Elle Kunos. I'm the director, and this is the writer, lead actress, Eleanor Di Lorenzo.
Hi. Yeah. And I think our biggest obstacle was to find the story. We started out wanting to make like more of a horror movie, but then we found the story throughout the process a little bit more. When I wrote the movie, I just had a baby and went through a pretty severe body dysmorphia, having gone from someone who looked very young and wanting to continue to look young, but then I saw what the mirror and my naked body with this huge belly and starting to look, like I started to look my age, which is good, you know. And I remember thinking of that story then of like, what would happen if this is a girl who wants to continue to look younger and all, you know, with all the societal pressure of that, and having someone who also wants her to look younger, and then and what would that look like? And then I pitched that to Elle, who I remember said, let's do it. And we did. Zero budget, we got our friends together, and
It was really, I mean, when Ellie told me her story, it just, we were always interested in sort of a fairy-like setting for it, and it just leaned so much into this. I believe it was called Alice at one point, and we did really want to sort of hammer on that with the dolls and with this sort of fantasy world that she goes in and out of throughout the film. And, yeah, it was our first collaboration.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Open it up to the floor. So anyone has questions, you in the back?
Yeah, I got a question for the
Well, we had a different story filmed with the horror aspect, where she would actually kill the man. But we, with our collaboration with the soundtrack, and Mikael, who's Zelle's good friend, we were sitting and talking about it, and he brought up the fact that what if there is not a happy ending and she actually goes back to sort of this drug-fueled fantasy world she's created for herself, and we really liked that. And to be honest, we also didn't have enough footage to do the horror justice.
Yeah, I think there was something also in the fact that she kind of lets go. I mean, that's how I saw it. She lets go. The child disappears and she sort of floats into this fantasy world. But with what Ellie said, there was a scenario where she killed the dolls, killed the man, which we
It didn't,
had
yeah.
problems filming.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy with this version. I kind of like that it didn't fall over, because the horror track that we were on took away, I think, from the original story and from what's important about it with Ellie's experience.
So you're,
I have a question for Bubblegum. How challenging was it to get permitting for the subway?
That was my question.
Unless you have like one camera with no light, you can do film everywhere.
Oh wow.
So you didn't have to get special permitting?
No.
Wow.
Actually, I had help from them. When they're like seeing I was doing that, they just helped me.
So how were you able to get the completely empty
Yeah.
subway car?
Oh, that was like the end. I was lucky.
Okay.
Wasn't a moment. Was not even in the same subway. I was like in the same part of the shooting, so it was really unlucky to do that. There is no VFX,
There's
no budget, no nothing. It's just a camera, 2 people. Oh, needs to be at least 4 persons, like max. I mean max. Cannot have like 5, 6 people. It's just 4.
good to know, because I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Like I did New York Film Academy, so they taught us that. So everybody was just doing it.
Wow.
Were there any other
Kelly?
questions?
Fran, I know your story, but other people probably don't. What got you up on stage in the first place doing comedy?
Both of my parents were very sick. Well, number one, as I was transitioning to female for much of my life, and both of my parents were very sick and dying, and I needed something to relieve some of the pressure. So I answered an ad for stand-up comedy. This is about 15 years ago, and I started comedy classes and started building my comedy routines and stuff, and that's how I came on that. And my friend Valentina was trying to get in a mob movie. She's an actress, trying to get in a mob-related movie, and we were both in a class taught by sort of a real mobster, and we stumbled on this idea for this set. So she couldn't be here tonight. I wish she could have come and seen it. So we performed that night, and we didn't perform that ever again. But I did write a couple of scripts that relate to a mobster who's very macho, very male, going trans.
Also, how did you coach your friend to come up on stage? Because he did good, but he seemed like a little nervous, like he was like his first time or something.
Oh.
He's a stage person, but not an actor, but he sings. I
My
know.
friend Augie,
Yeah, because you didn't mention him.
yes, he just was there, and that about 2 minutes before we
Came
did
to
it,
your
he
show.
wanted a third person.
No, I think you asked him. Didn't you ask him to do the scene?
Yeah, we asked him to do the scene, but I don't think much before it really happened. And so he
So
came
he
up,
chimed up.
and he was great. He played a bouncer at the door.
He looked the part, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the question, Kelly.
For Ellie, what's your process for the pre-production? Do you guys do like storyboards, shot lists? How do you communicate with your cinematography is beautiful.
Oh,
Also, you
thank
can tell me that.
Yes. We did storyboards. We did, we did go, once we went location scouting, there was a very clear idea. Actually, our cinematographer lives in Canada, so I believe he was not actually part of it. One of our other cinematographers who shot the doll scenes, which is here tonight, John. And yeah, we were very precise how we wanted to set it up, because the location, once we found the location with the staircase and those two rooms we see into, John was also gaffing, which is one of my favorite shots in the film, where you see her and the corridor with staircase on the other. So it was very specific. We had some trouble finding the perfect forest, but
Yeah, also similar permits though, if you're less than 5, you can do it. So, and you don't have to have a permit, but they might ask. So we actually said that we were gonna get married and take photos of ourselves getting married, and, okay, never mind.
we had all the permits.
Yes.
Thank you. No, but we were also lucky with the location, because there was an insanely large bathtub, which we were looking for.
Oh, yeah.
And it was unnaturally large, it wasn't just camera magic.
Wow. Wow.
Awesome. Any other questions?
I just have a question for Fran. Are you working on anything new, like stand-up comedy, or are you performing anywhere that people,
Yes,
that
yes.
see you do some more work?
Yes, I am performing places, and recently at the Los Angeles Fantasy Fest, I performed some comedy, including a film
Yeah.
that's shown later on today.
Great.
Later on today, it's called Finally Fun and Fame in LA. And I was so happy to be able to get into a theater like this in LA and do some stand-up comedy, and it was very well received, so that was cool. And I've been writing songs. I just came out with a book called, it's an Italian thing, no, it's a black thing, and it's about the two cultures, Italians and blacks ordinarily not getting along with each other, and then they find a way to get along because the older trans woman falls in love with a young black girl, and the two cultures get together, the two families get together, first over a plate of lasagna.
Hey.
So yes,
That's fun.
I've been working on a lot of stuff like that, including writing.
Yeah, you in the back.
I don't have a question, I just wanted to thank you all. What I saw today was brilliant, and I love that in each film, I actually found ways that I know that you guys put in there, little subtle things that made me go, oh, and this, the background, I just appreciate that more than anything. So thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Being Italian, how have you transitioned? Because it's such a deep culture in so in finding yourself and being true to you, how have you brought your Italian heritage into it?
It's for those people who may not know much about Italian Americans and how they view trans or gender fluid or different issues about gender. Italians in Italy are similar. In fact, right now in Italy, they're going through a similar thing that we went through about 10 years ago, and also Italians and blacks in Italy. And I have a good friend in Italy that I write with, and he tells me that that's going on, and that this story or a story like this may have merit there. But growing up as an Italian American, especially in New York, may not be the same way in Boise, Idaho, but in New York, if you weren't a real macho boy, then something was wrong. And if you were gay, a boy who was gay, something was wrong. That's the family that I grew up in, the neighborhood, the school, the church, the whole thing. And now, luckily, over the last 20 years, that has improved a lot. That's not really, people have gotten much more open, but it's still there. It's still there, and it's easy for people to go back to that. So if they hear bad language or prejudice or bigotry and hatred in the world, they easily fall back into feeling that way. And Italians and cultures like the Italian culture, also Hispanics. Hispanics are very much kind of against trans people. I hate to generalize like that, but it's kind of true. But Italians probably more than any other culture. And it's really defending what they worked so hard to have: a man, a woman, a job, a car, a situation in a family. And anything to disrupt that was anathema. So I remember at 8 years old sitting around a dining room table and hearing my grandfather and father and uncles and that people who were very loving, but hearing them say those effing and referring to other people in the community. And blacks, Hispanics, Chinese, anything that was not Italian. So I was trying to get rid of my own prejudice to some extent, so I wrote this, and I was going through some courses and classes, some DEI classes, and I said maybe the best way to cover that is to write it as a story. And that's the story. It's an Italian thing, though it's a black thing. I have copies with me if you wanted to have a copy to read. You know, you could just see me later on. But anyway, did that answer your question, Gloria? Did I go too far with that?
No, because, again, you know, and for me, I'm Italian and Spanish, so I know exactly they're coming at it from both sides.
Okay.
Because tradition's tradition.
Any other Italians in the room?
I'm half.
Wow.
I'm half.
Half
No.
Italian.
I'm half Italian.
You're getting there.
Getting it. I'm only half too. I'm only half
Did you
too.
find that in your family as well?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much it's all the same. Yeah, they were from Calabria, so they're Calabrese.
Yeah, same
yeah.
where we're from.
Yeah, yeah.
Calabria. Calabria especially, Southern Italians are very strong workers, masons, work with their hands. They're very protective about what they work for and keep. They don't want it disturbed, you know, by anything different. Of course, a lot of this has changed now, you know, but that's how many of us grew up like that. And thank you all for those questions.
I just want to ask you to Ellie and Maria about the color. I really like the color you guys. How was your decision to choose, for example, Maria? The color is beautiful in your
Yeah.
film as well as Ellie.
Since for me, I would love to bring this scenario of like dreaming. So I changed the color like basically from the reality and then when he started to remember that. So it's just simple like that because like I said, I had no budgets for colors.
But it's very nice.
So like my skills is not that much. So I was more intending like to the narrative be understood. That's how I work.
Nice. What about you, Ellie?
Well, we set the color palette even before we started with anything really in this sort of dreamy and dirty pastels. Wanted it to range from a very cool, disturbing, like the night scene, to these really warm, child room-like doll world colors. So it's a very specific choice in every. And then the exterior was tricky. I mean, there was quite a bit of color grading to get it into the right, because we had to film it in the daytime, but we wanted to be in the afternoon. So we had a good color grader.
For sure.
Also, liked with,
Oh,
even
okay.
you were very specific. What I like with watching Ellen and John work with the light is that every depending on where the girl finds herself throughout the process, it's a very different light. Where she is basically also during in her high a little bit of like where she is in her mind as well. So yeah, we spent a lot of time on that.
On the light.
Right there. Yeah, go ahead.
Another question for you, actually. I'm about to start working on my thesis production, which is like a fantastical film. And I just was curious how you sort of frame the exterior shots and the bits of the wood in such a similar way to sort of smaller versions of dolls, and how you found that aesthetic of that sort of fantastical world, like how you sort of kept in that space.
merging the exterior fantastical with the
Yeah.
interior. Yeah, we were, I mean, that's also, again, a lot of the lights, and when we set up the interior tea party scene between the two dolls, we had already filmed the outdoor scene, so we found where she sort of crosses over on that walkway. We found that, and we tried to mimic those big leaves and just to have the same kind of greenery. And then, I don't know how we faked the rest of the background inside, but we really wanted it to seem as her world.
Something you also really pressed on was capturing B-roll, capturing behavior. So we did like almost the whole day in that bathtub, where you made me do things. But you know, kept like with the hand, and then in editing we discovered those shots that were like, wait a second, this actually blends in really well with his behavior too. So I think a good advice for anyone who's shooting short films is to really get the B-roll. That's also always
Yeah,
something you
Mhm.
look
a lot
at.
of I mean, there was hours spent on capturing, there's a toad or frog.
Yep.
Toad or frog. And the water, like all those little things cut in with the interiors that were all fake greenery with the dolls drinking the tea. Yeah, no, it's always worth, and it's something that goes kind of out the window for a lot of people because of time or money. They're like, okay, we can always pick this up. That was a pickup, the interiors, but it's something that you should always have, like the editor, you'll be so grateful.
Cool. Cool. Big round of applause for Awesome. So if I could just invite you to go down to the bar, and we're just going to clear the room for the next set of screens.
Thank you.
And thank you again for all your work.